Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a scorcher. We're going over the third episode in our bracing series and actually talking about the brace. The brace itself is a problem for a lot of players, including this guy here. So we're going to figure out how to move into the correct positions. You can master your brace and sling massive D off the tee. As athletes, we always want to build ourselves from the ground up. So mastering this technique is very important. Proper brace also helps us master that ground force and use our whole body in the throw as opposed to just our arm. And this is where we achieve very high velocities in our disc. A brace itself is when we plant our front foot at the end of our run-up, stopping the momentum going forward, and then moving it into our body. The biggest power generator of our body is moving our hip into internal rotation, and this is what the brace helps us do. The brace is an anchor for our body to rotate around. When we create that firm, proper brace, our body is essentially going to rotate internally or clockwise around that fixed point, which is our leg, and really the head of our femur, which goes into our hip. And that's what creates rotation, and that's why we're called rotational athletes. When we think about our brace, we want to think about something that has a sudden stop. So for example, when you slam on the brakes of your car, a lot of times people fly forward towards the dashboard, or if you see an NHL hockey game ever, when they run and they stop really fast, that ice shoots out in front of them. That's what we want to do with our disc. We want to create that sudden stop so our disc goes flying forward much, much faster than our body moves.
This starts with getting our foot all the way down and perpendicular to the target. We also want to push through the 3 points or tripod of our foot to create that ground force. This is also a great tip for strength training when you're using your legs as well.
Let's take a look at some bracing examples.
All right, let's start off with me. One thing we want to make sure we have is our foot in front of our knee in front of our hip. Then we want to have our head and spine directly over our center of mass. And here's Simon Lazat, who's much better than me from Overthrow's channel, show us the same thing right here. And here's a look of the internal rotation of the hip during the brace.
So there's really two aspects why we have trouble with the brace. Number one is form, but number two, we might have problems with the strength or movement in our hips and pelvis to actually get us and keep us in those correct positions. So I'm going to show you drills. I'm going to show you exercises to master these. One of my main issues when I brace, I know is a common issue for a lot of people, and that's when we brace, we end up with our foot here, which is a huge power killer for a lot of disc golf players, once again, including myself. This is mainly a timing issue. We're just getting excited and returning too soon. So the focus should be planting here, getting that whole foot down, pushing, then letting the timing of the body take over. When we talk about the timing of our body, here's how it should happen. We should go foot landing all the way down, leg, hip, stomach, shoulders, then disc. So once again, that's foot, leg, hip, abs, shoulders, then disc. This disc should lag behind us the whole time until we're ready to explode the disc out of our hand. And we want to create speed as we're moving. So slow, 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 slow. Then we start going quicker as we get into the power pocket and release. Another cause for this is you're trying to, get your hips involved and you're trying to jerk your hips to get more power going, and that causes that to turn. When we create our brace, we want to think push down through the ground with our front foot. A couple of things that are going to happen. Your leg is going to naturally straighten. What we don't want to do is create the movement through our knee, open us up to some risks like hyperextending the knee, meniscus, and things like that. So we want to focus on pushing through the 3 points of our foot and straightening our leg that way. It's also going to cause our hip to either go up or up and back, depending on how your personal body moves, the shot shape, and things like that. But it should be most likely going up and back, and that's what's creating that internal rotation of our hips, and that's what gets our hips involved in our throw in disc golf. There is a version of bracing called the vertical brace, which Overthrow teaches. He's an incredible teacher. I'll show you a drill to improve that if that's what you choose to do, where you get here and you kind of come up in your vertical brace this way.
All right, so the premise is no weight on your back foot and getting in this position here. So we're going to do a little medicine ball just to practice that. Get used to pushing up through our 3 points of our foot in that little D-weighted position on our back foot. Here's the front look of the drill. It's technically called a halo slam, but you get the premise into his position with that vertical brace. Second drill, I'm just going to find a little bit of step, get that front foot on there, get all the weight on my front foot, working on pushing up, getting into that vertical brace.
When we talk about learning the brace, we should start with the internal rotation of the hips, because that's a key component that puts the lower and upper body together. So for the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you an exercise in the gym.
All right, these are hip airplanes. Many people have not felt the feeling of internal and external rotation of the hips while having a firm front leg. This does exactly that, so it should give you the feeling of your brace and that hip turning into internal rotation. I'm pretending the boosted ball is my target, and I'm keeping the pressure on my foot through the 3 points of my foot. Here's a little bit different look. I have my toe pointed directly at the pole I'm holding onto, and of course, we work both sides of our body when we do this.
First step in practicing our brace is just getting into our bracing position and then just working on that push off our feet from our 3 points, our heel, and the 2 points in the front of our foot. You get a little push off the back, or you're going to do the little butt wipe like Seabass teaches. Doesn't matter, whatever your technique is, we just want to work slow and get this foot in the proper position, which is perpendicular to our target, and push off our foot. And we want to really practice this and get used to that feeling while leaving our disc behind. Then we can move into something like a PVC pipe to help us with the movement. Do a little hover drill here. Then we're going to move into our brace and just get used to whatever your technique is. But we also want to work on leaving this disc behind. So we're going to have it here, work on our push through our feet in the 3 points, and have our disc lag back behind us, just so we can get used to that feeling. We don't always have to throw a disc to improve our technique. Then we can move into holding the disc and practicing whatever your bracing technique you choose to do with. Once again, just focusing on getting that whole foot down and pushing off those 3 points while leaving this disc behind here. Then we can move into the hover. Then you can move into throwing our disc. A nice throwing drill for me that's helped me get my brace in the proper position while focusing on the timing is a little step back drill. Once again, this is a drill, so we're going to go slow. We're not trying to bomb the disc. We're just going to throw it nice and straight, nice and easy, only focusing on pushing off these 3 points. We're just going to get however you throw the disc, and we are going to turn our body as we step back and then push off and throw. Pretty self-explanatory here, and then just throw. Notice when I threw, I automatically got that little turn off my front foot. But once again, we're just stepping back and throwing with the disc. And we're really getting used to creating that space.
The space or angle is different for each player, but should be around 45 degrees.
And that internal rotation of our hip as we have something in our hand that we're throwing.
All right, let's take it to the gym for some drills and exercises. Everyone's seen this lateral hop drill, which is great for managing the center of mass in our body, obviously building the quickness and our lateral strength too. Awesome drill. Here's a one leg throw drill. Going to keep the weight all on the 3 points of your foot and work on that internal rotation of your hip while moving your hands like a disc and working on that counterbalance with our foot. This is also a great drill for keeping our posture. Of course, we work both sides of the body anytime we do any exercises. Here's the back view of the drill. If you want something a little more explosive than the lateral jumps, here's a skater jump. It's a great drill for the people who like to de-weight their back leg, but this drill also helps us get that foot all the way down before we explode. And another way, here's me going a little slower. You want to go as fast as you can. You can also use weights like a medicine ball or a 25-pound weight or whatever to do this drill. Of course, there's a variety of medicine ball throws that we can use and utilize in the gym or at home to work on not only that plant foot, but also the internal rotation of our hips. Can also use some medicine ball variations to work on our center of mass. I'm going to show you a bunch here in a little bit. You can follow along the video and copy the technique. A couple of important tips when we do medicine balls. Number one, we don't want to get hit in the face with the medicine ball. You can see this ball bounces. Anyone you have at the gym is probably going to bounce, so watch out for your face. We also want to be as explosive as possible, so we want to throw that medicine ball as hard as we can every time we do it. We also don't want to do a million reps because we are going as fast as we can, so we want to do 3, 5, 6 reps. Moving on to some strength training, one of the best things you can do is the reverse sled if you have that available to you. Not quite as good, but still effective is walking backwards up a hill with your disc golf bag. I've got a whole hill workout located in the channel, linking it in the comments. Bulgarian split squats are amazing for building single leg strength and really practicing pushing through the tripod in your foot once again. Great tip for any leg activity strength training wise. Next, we have the curtsy lunge, which is great for single leg strength as well as mastering your center of mass. You're also going to get some internal rotation of the hips on there as well. Once again, working both sides of that body, pushing through that tripod. Our final exercise is lateral lunges. Anytime we're working disc golf, we want to work some lateral strength as well. This is a great activity for that. Now we're going to move on to some mobility. This is a hip hinge and T-spine rotation. This is an incredible bang for your buck activity, getting a couple things at once. Not only are we working on our brace, but also our T-spine mobility, which is great for our power pocket. When I do this, I'm using the wall only as a guide. I'm not leaning up against the wall. I might touch it a little, but I'm trying to control my body throughout this entire movement. Next, we have a couple of pelvis mobility drills. I'm going to lay flat on the ground like I am here, and I'm just trying to bring my belly button up to my chin, only moving my pelvis back and forth, just really working on that forward mobility of our pelvis, just to loosen things up. Next, we're going to have a side-to-side motion. I'm lifting my hip towards my shoulder, and I'm not trying to bring my shoulder down. I'm just trying to lift my hip straight up to my shoulder to get the movement in my pelvis that way. And finally, we're going to show you some shin boxes here. It's a great activity to keep our hips mobile, once again working into that pelvis.
All right, that's all I've got for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. Let me know in the comments if you found anything that helped you out or if you have any questions. If there's something else you'd like me to break down next, let me know and I'll try my best. If you guys keep watching them, I'll keep making them. Until next time, peace.